Buenos días a todos, buenos días a todas. Bienvenida a nuestro evento inspiracional que está organizado por el Comité de Women in Finance y sponsorizado por Aberdeen Asset Management. Por lo que os habéis apuntado por la primera vez a este evento, estaré charlando una media hora, 40 minutos con nuestra invitada de hoy y luego abriré a preguntas. Preguntas que podéis escribir en el chat o pedir que os pase la palabra levantando vuestra mano virtual. Hoy tenemos el placer de compartir nuestro tiempo con Fiona Frick, la CEO de Unigestión. Fiona, thank you very much for sharing your time with us.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Fiona, por los que no la conocéis, además de ser la CEO de Unigestión, es miembro del Consejo de Sostenibilidad en Ginebra, miembro del mismo Consejo de Sostenibilidad a nivel nacional en Suiza. Siempre en Suiza es miembro del Consejo de la Cámara de Comercio Americana y forma parte del EMEA Standard Boards for Alternative Investments. Esto la verdad lo he dejado en inglés porque no sabía exactamente cómo traducirlo para no liarnos, ¿vale? Y, con más de 30 años en la industria financiera, yo ayer he estado haciendo un poco mente local sobre cuándo nos conocimos y creo que fue en mi época cuando yo era la responsable de la selección de fondos de renta variable y Fiona estaba a cargo siempre en Unigestión de la gestión de los fondos del equity. La verdad, a partir de ahí, cada vez que nos cruzamos por el mundo, nos tomamos un café, porque ya habéis visto que nuestro camino nos ha llevado a cubrir otros roles. Y hoy va a ser nuestro primer café virtual y personalmente estoy encantada de compartirlo con vosotros. So let's go to English. Let's switch to English because Fiona, I don't think she understands very well Spanish. So Fiona.
I understand, but I don't speak very well.
I read your marvelous CV and I tried to remember when we met first. I don't know if you remember, but I would guess that it was at the time when I was in charge of the equity fund research and you were the head of the equity department. And what I told to our to the rest of the people in this call is that since then, every time we have the chance, we take a really coffee. And today is our first virtual coffee. So, thank you very much again for your time, for staying with us. Let's start with the question. Let's start to talk. You've been a female CEO in a male-dominated industry for, I would say, more than 10 years now. Has the landscape changed?
I think it has changed since I started 30 years ago. I remember I started as a financial analyst. And my first worry when I arrived in a meeting was to make sure that people didn't take me for the PA rather than the analyst. So that was my first recon, because at the time, the financial industry was mainly masculine 30 years ago. What changed is that the beauty is that since I started, there's really a woman community in finance that has started, and like that's how I met you, Gwendolina, and it's around the world. You can see these strong, successful women arriving, etc. And now there's really a network of women, and it's not just for the networking, which is important, because when I started, in fact, my management style was very copy-paste on the management style I saw from the men around me. And with time, I learned how I could be a woman in finance and manage with my own style, and having a group of women around me helped me quite a lot.
Yes, I personally totally agree, and I think all the people in this call agree with you. There is things that have been changing, and me as you, the biggest. It was tough at the beginning because we were alone. I've been in a meeting where there were 20 men and just by myself as an analyst, you know, the youngest one be a woman. It was quite a tricky situation. So what was your biggest challenge in building your career?
To gain credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you said, I was the youngest and I was a woman, and I had to show that I was as good as somebody else. So it was credibility, yes.
And did you have a mentor? Have you been mentoring during your career?
Yes, I have two mentors, which is I'm quite lucky because, in fact, the chairman and the CEO of Unigestión had hired me when I was a young analyst 30 years ago, and they made me progress in the company, and they never put a barrier to me because I was young or because I was a woman, and they were always pushing me, so go to the next step, go to the next step. And this was very important for me to have it is a blessing from the top that I can go as far as I wanted, and even the encouragement of the top that I can go as far as I wanted.
Yes, and are you mentoring somebody now? Are you?
Yes, I do. I mentor some women in Women in Finance, and also some young students which want to know, for example, in finance. So I was speaking yesterday night with the person which was at Oxford for his BA and is going to LSE for his MBA, and he wanted to know, depending on the course he's doing, what course he wants to do, and then I follow them through time. So there is 5 to 7 people that I mentor outside Unigestión. I don't mentor at Unigestión because that would be complicated, because it could create some conflict of interest or things like that. So, but I mentor outside of Unigestión 5, 6 people.
Okay, and something that is quite common, and I'm doing by myself as well, is the inverse mentoring. So, is a young person, woman or man, giving mentoring be your mentor now?
Not yet. That's something I should be. What I did once, which was interesting, I did with a young woman, a sort of co-mentoring. I was mentoring her, and she was mentoring me.
Okay.
And that was very nice in a way. But I didn't do the one you did. What we were thinking to do at the company level, which was an idea we had brought by a young person. So we have an executive committee. And one of the youngest persons said, why don't we do the following? We do a young exco, and you give us all the subjects you discuss, and we come with our conclusion. So that's a project we have for next year, and let's see how it goes. So it will be interesting to have a young exco, like Generation X or Y, and coming with their answers to the question we asked ourselves at the exco committee.
Yeah. So maybe in 2 years' time, once you have implemented, you come back and you tell us your experience, because definitely it will be very interesting. And going back to your first point, that 30 years ago, you feel that there was some kind of different treatment to women in the financial system. Do you still find that there are differences?
I think it's much better. The only thing that remains is some cognitive bias, I would say, that people don't even realize that they have them. And what I found quite interesting is that some qualities which are seen for men, when women have them, it's seen as bad, while for men, it's seen as good. Typically, if a woman is cross at one moment, she will be seen as an hysterical woman. But if a man is cross, he will be seen as a hard-working guy. So there is still a bit of this behavioral bias. And what we do, which is quite important, we try when we hire new people to have a process to take out this behavioral bias, have a lot of people interview men and women, not only men, to make sure that we try to fight these behavioral biases which are unconscious.
Yes, definitely. And let's stay to this point with the difference between female portfolio manager and male portfolio manager. As we've seen, numbers are telling us that in Switzerland, there is Switzerland is lagging Spain for the percentage of female fund manager. I think you are around 80%, when in Spain we are 22%. What can Switzerland learn from Spain?
It's modernism. Switzerland, I think, is the last country in Europe that gave the right to vote to women. It was in the 1970s. So that's not so far away. So men had to vote if they agreed that women vote. That was like 40 years ago or 50 years ago. So we were late since the beginning. But what Spain has done very well is obviously taking out the barrier which would help a woman progress. Because in Switzerland, for example, we have a lot of issue with with the schooling and a shop which closed at 6 at night, and the price of having care for children, which is really, really expensive. So at the end, it's very unfair, because if you don't earn sufficient money, the cost of care is so high that you have no incentive to go and work, because it goes all there. So I think what Spain has done, it has modernized not only the society and the people, but also the way of the city. Like you can do your shopping late. You can organize a way to keep your children which are safe. While in Switzerland, it's a hassle. You have to subscribe 1 year before to 2 years before to have your children in a place. It's very complicated. And what I realized is that I had the chance to have my children perhaps a bit later, so I was earning my life correctly, so I could organize my support. And I realized that I could work only if I knew my family basis was safe, with the social support that helped me while I was working. So I think it's the infrastructure which is missing in Switzerland, and also a bit the mindset. I think the mindset of the Spain country and the Spain financial industry is much more open than Switzerland yet.
It's a huge topic and a big problem, because, as you said, women are having children later, when we are a bit older, and when we can afford some kind of expenses. Spain, I know that in Spain we're very lucky, because having a woman at home taking care of our children is not as expensive as it could be in other countries like Switzerland, in Germany. In these places. The cost of living is so high, and the cost of having somebody taking care of your children is so high that many people don't have children, or they do it, they just postpone it. And that's one of the other problems that makes that there is no, the nativity rate is so low in Europe, that will create another type of problem in the next future. But staying with this theme, you, as you said, you have been raising two children when you were at the senior level. Being a senior level it means to spend more hours to dedicate it to the company, and probably more pressure, more stress, more thinking. How did you achieve, how did you achieve the right balance between your career and your motherhood?
I only did these two things. I didn't see my friends for quite a while. So I had to sacrifice something. So the woman that tells you I can do it all, it's not true. I really became dedicated to my family and my work, and I had to stop all the other things which I liked. Now I'm starting again, because my children are 20 and 17, so I'm rediscovering going to a concert and going to see an art exhibition. But for quite a while, this was finished. But I would say that what is interesting is that I had a chance to have a husband which was very equalitarian. So if one of my child was sick, it was not necessarily me by default that would go. It will be the one that has the less urgency that would go. And sometimes when I work, it's quite impressive. I see some women which are very powerful at work and having position really high, and they go home, and at the end, the default option is that they take care of everything. And this has been very true also during COVID time, when the children were at home. While for me, I had the chance to agree with my husband that whatever happens at home, it's not necessarily me that takes care of it. It can be him, it can be me, depending on who has more urgent things to do.
But really, I think home organization should be very helpful. Just to, as you said, it's not just me, it's not just the mother. And as there are many women and men connecting to this call, as we organize the work at the office, this is another work that should be split between both parties, not just one. So, Spanish professional, you've been working with Spanish lots of time. What skill do they have demonstrated to you? What are our best skills?
Performance driven, and making sure that you have everything in place to be able to do it.
Oh, thank you.
And credibility. You say what you do and you do what you say. It's very clear.
Thank you very much, Fiona, because, many times as we're Spanish, we never think we are at the top. We couldn't compare with London and New York. I'm Italian. So many times I say to Spanish people that we have to change our mindset because we're doing very good things on the social level and economic level. Elise knew that you are very, you don't live here, so you have no needs to say this to us. It's very, I hope it will help people to believe it, because it's what I see, but I'm part of the system, you're not, so let's hope we do it. And what advice would you give to your 20, 30 years old self, if you could, now, if you think now with your experience, which advice would give to you when you were 25, 30 years old?
I would say that always continue learning and disrupt yourself, because I think we are in an industry which is changing dramatically quickly. And I think even what's true necessarily 10 years ago can change. So it's not that you have to change your mind, but you have to revisit your principle with fresh eyes. And in order to do that, you need to be up to date with the evolution of the market, with the evolution of technology, with what happens in the world, the change in geopolitics. So it's constantly learning and then retesting your hypothesis and agreeing that perhaps your hypothesis is not valid anymore because the environment has changed. That's one thing. Then the second is we often put our own barriers because no, we are not, we can't do that. And much more women than men. And I had, this course of leadership where you learn how do you deal when you do an evaluation, year-end evaluation with a man and a year-end evaluation with a woman. For a woman, you have to give much more compliments because they will, if you say you're really great, but they will only remain the but they will not remind that you said you're really good at the beginning. So fight your own internal barriers, and the sky is the limit.
And if you can change, if you could pick up one thing to be changed in order to support women's career in our industry, which one would be?
I find it's the hiring process, which is very important to make sure we have right. And it was funny because for some years we were saying we want to increase women, it was an intention, and it was said by me, and obviously I wanted it so really deep. But we saw the numbers, they didn't progress. And it was not that people were doing things wrong, etc. But there was this bias, somebody prefers to work with somebody that looks like him. And so perhaps there was more men being hired because they were interviewed by men. So what I think is really important is to review the hiring process in a company to make sure that there is a pipeline of candidates at the end. So what we force, for example, there needs to be a pipeline of candidates at the end, which is balanced between men and women. And if they don't find the balance, they no final. So it has become as rigorous as that. So if there is 2 men, there must be 2 women, even a final, or 1 man, 1 woman. Then the second thing is we have to define what exactly are the KPI we are looking for that person, and then to rate how this person is capable of achieving this KPI. Because we try to take out the, oh yeah, I like, but I don't like, but I don't feel, whatever. Just try to judge on facts. And then in the hiring process to have as many women than men also interviewing. And it has helped us reduce some of the unconscious bias.
But we're improving. We're working on it. What I see is that everywhere and all spaces, even if there are no women covering a job or a position, or there is no diversity inside the team, what I see is that there is the aim at the beginning to look for something different, to make the team as much with lots of diversity, with as much diversity as possible. And you see, I was very impressed, probably you have read it and all the people here have read it as well. I think before the summer, even the European Central Bank got as a mandate to diversify their teams. So they're just spreading everywhere around Europe. They're looking for women to join the bank. Because at the European bank level and even at the Spanish bank, central bank level, there are in some areas, definitely there are no women, they're just men, they're only men oriented, and they're making all the efforts to diversify their team. So I think people now, there is a consciousness at the company, everywhere, at the corporate level and the public institution. So it will work. We are, I think we're in the right process.
Absolutely.
My last question, and then we open up to the rest of the public. As far as I know, Unigestión has a long track record of working with university and giving sponsorship, scholarship to the best students. How much is important for the asset management industry to work close to university in order to support women?
I think it's very important, and even more in this time, which I think is really a time of paradigm change. Like, for example, there is so much new data coming in, and you have to be able to understand how to deploy machine learning and natural language processing processes, etc. And the way we have been taught how to manage money at university during the last decades is evolving thanks to that. And, you know, cryptocurrency, you can like it or not, but they are part of the scenery, and you have to understand them. So I think it's quite important to have a younger generation always coming and retesting what I was saying, your hypothesis. And what we do is we hire 2 to 4 interns at the last part of the studies when they have to do a project, and we work with them on a project. And after if they agree and we agree, we try to hire them. But obviously they make us work on the most innovative research, the one which needs the new skill sets. And for us, it's very important, again, to disrupt our belief system.
And this year in Spain, we'll launch a program very similar to you with the CFA. This is a program that we launch at the world level. It's worldwide. It's not just for Spain, where we've been in touch with university to select the best female students. They will study with Fitch the first level of CFA along the summer, and now they're working in some financial industry, Spanish financial industry. And some of them are listening to you now. So we really, we're very aligned on what we're doing, what we think it's important, and I hope this one of these girls will make you question now, because you are an example for all of us to follow. So let's open up to question. I don't know if you want to write in the chat. I see there are 3 messages. No, but those are something's not working. Or Leticia. Hello. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. I don't know, you can hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you for this new opportunity. I've been joining the group of Fecha Spain, and thanks to the program of Young Women Investment, I'm here working now I'm working in AXA IM, and this is such a boost of motivation having you both a very empowered woman like you, and this was such a nice talk.
Thank you.
Hi, Fiona. I have a question for you, and thanks, of course, for attending this session. It has been very inspiring to meet you and to know more about your expertise and the insights of your life. So previously, Wenda asked you about what would you say to your past self, right? When you had 20 or 30 years, but usually we don't ask, what would you say to your future self? So if you had the chance to say something to yourself in the coming 20 years, what would you say to you?
I would try to congratulate me, because it's something I don't do a lot, and say, okay, now you can stop. Just relax. You've done it. Be in peace. Because I think I always been quite hard with myself. Mm-hmm. And I would see perhaps in 20 years, I could say, okay, now, okay, you can rest a bit and you can enjoy what you've done rather than try constantly to go forward. So yeah, just say, okay, fine. What would you say to yourself?
Now today, maybe it goes in the same direction, Fiona. Enjoy, so have fun with the journey. You know, sometimes we are pretty focused on the results, and the things that are under control are a lot, of course, but there are others that depends on the environment where we can influence, or maybe we don't have the chance to impact, and we have to adapt to them. So I agree with you. Enjoy should be a good answer. Enjoy the path, enjoy the journey. So,
but it's very true what you say, that we are so focused on the result that sometimes we forgot to enjoy the journey.
Sure. What results, right? Because I guess during your life, your results or your expected objectives have changed a lot. So maybe the objectives you have right now are pretty different from your past self. So that's why we don't, or we try to fix that objectives as they are like the main thing we have to do, but there are others in the journey that maybe we are not putting the focus on. So yes, completely agree. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you.
If I may add something, Fiona, follow this. Are you able to just stop and watch and enjoy what you've done? Because normally people, they've been at sea level, they've been building many things, working so hard. In my opinion, it's very difficult for all of them just to take a step back and enjoy what's done. Because normally we see that people that have been at senior level, then they start their own company, they become independent board member. You know, it looks like from the outside that it's very difficult to slow down and get off of the business.
I manage to enjoy when I don't work. When I'm in vacation, I enjoy my vacation, etc. I'm not yet at the level where I can say, okay, I enjoy what I have done professionally. And I always say, okay, that is not enough and I should do this now. And that was not enough. So that's why I need to work. I have my homework for the next 10 years.
And we're happy you are. There is one question in the chat from Raul. I read it for him. Good morning, lovely masterclass, Fiona. Justine, you have studied philosophy. How this subject did help you during your career?
It helped me a lot. So, the first part of my career was managing money. I was an equity manager, and I was a high yield manager and a convertible bond manager. So here, finance was fine, you know, and you learn the theory and you test the theory in practice. But when I became CEO, I went from managing money to managing people. And there, all you learn in school was not helpful, except philosophy, because philosophy is a sort of reflection about human beings and how do we behave and what motivates us and what purpose is there in life, etc. And that resonated very much, because when you manage a company, you manage an ecosystem of people. And philosophy helped me about understanding the purpose of these people and understanding that they can be different and give some distance to be able to manage people better.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any other question?
I have an additional question, Fiona, because I see you are pretty used to being asked in different interviews. It seems so, right? So what's the best question you have ever been asked?
Yours, I think, is one of the, I don't know, I have no memory, but I like yours very much, about what would you say to yourself in 20 years? And I thought it was a very interesting question. But no, I have no memories. But for example, your question was a really good one.
Thanks, Fiona, for that.
Somebody else? If not, Fiona, thank you very much for your time. It was very pleasure for me and I'm pretty sure for the rest of the people in the call to have you here in our call. Ha sido un verdadero lujo poder comenzar el día con Fiona, con su energía. Yo creo que aunque ha sido solo una media hora y ha sido virtual, todos habéis podido tocar de primera mano su fuerza. Espero poder veros pronto, espero a todo que os haya gustado y una vez más, muchísimas gracias Fiona por su tiempo y gracias a Aberdeen Asset Management, que es nuestro sponsor. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in the real world as soon as possible, Fiona, in Madrid, in London, or wherever it will be. And I hope you really enjoy the time with us as we did it with you.
I enjoyed very much. It was a very pleasant moment and a very virtual coffee, which was I had a lot of interesting comments. Thank you so much.
Thanks to everybody. I wish you a very good day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.